Enslaved Black women were experimented on, particularly during the 19th century, so a little bit in the 18th century, but largely in the 19th century as obstetrics and gynecology became more formal and accepted branches of medicine. Marion Sims, known as the father of American gynecology, pioneers the surgery to correct this obstetrical fistula condition. People didn't know that he experimented on enslaved women. They didn't know that 2.5 years into his experimental trial, when his white medical assistants quit, he trained these enslaved women to serve as nurses. They were still his patients. They were still his slaves that he either owned or leased, and they still served as surgical assistants. So that part of the story was left out.
The success of James Marion Sims earned him the nickname of the father of modern gynecology. But his legacy is marred by the fact he earned it on the backs of Black slaves through non-consensual human experimentation without anesthesia.
My first pregnancy, my birthing experience was pretty traumatic.
And then he actually punctured my spinal cord. I was temporarily paralyzed.
We were so excited about bringing Jason into this world, and then the last 2 or 3 days of his birthing process was too tragic.
I was bullied and I was abused emotionally and physically, in the sense that consent was not asked for as often as it should have been.
It took me a while to find a provider that I trusted and that respected me.
We lost him due to what is known as HELP syndrome. We found out later on that his death could have been prevented, as well as the traumatic birthing experience that she experienced.
The United States has a problem with maternal mortality, and it is one that has been getting worse. The U.S. is one of only 13 countries where the death rate is worse now than it was 25 years ago, and among the worst of the wealthiest countries in the world. Between 700 and 900 American women die each year from problems related to pregnancy, childbirth, or complications, up to a year later. There are as many as 50,000 cases annually where women face dangerous and even life-threatening situations.
Look at the stark racial disparities in maternal health and infant health in the United States. Here's Janae Norman with what many are calling a public health crisis.
Now on to the silent crisis in our nation's maternity wards. African-American mothers dying at a higher rate than any other racial or ethnic group from childbirth-related complications.
Aisha Smith was thrilled to be pregnant, but the baby girl she'd named Savannah was stillborn at 38 weeks and 5 days.
Leaving the hospital empty-handed and driving home without my baby was perhaps the hardest thing I've ever done in my life.
What was supposed to be the start of a new life turned out to be the end of another. 26-year-old Amber Rose Isaac was preparing to give birth at the height of the coronavirus pandemic in New York City in April, when everything changed for her partner Bruce.
And I just remember staring and, looking at her face and seeing how scared she was, and panicking a bit. So I'm telling her, yeah, we're going home. This is what we prepared for. This is what we're ready for. It's time. And she looked at me and said, yes, all 3 of us are going home. And that was the last time I seen Amber.
Amber posted on Twitter about, quote, dealing with incompetent doctors. She died 4 days later. Bruce says Amber tried advocating for herself, but doctors just wouldn't listen.
But she voiced her concerns to her OB. She was letting her know, she's not feeling right. She's feeling a lot of discomfort. She's having shortness of breath. And her OB didn't really understand. She was like, oh, well, there are other women who are working while they're pregnant. So that right there just told me she didn't really care about Amber.
Kira. She died unexpectedly after the birth of their second son in 2016, and Charles says her death was 100% preventable.
For what was supposed to be a routine scheduled C-section at our doctor's recommendation, and on what we expected to be the happiest day of our lives, and really walked into an absolute nightmare. The thing that's so clear to me is that Kira just wasn't seen and valued as human. She wasn't seen in the same way, with the same compassion and the same empathy that the people that were responsible for her life would have seen their own daughters or their own wives or their own sisters. There's no reason that Kira should not be here today.
Amber's story is not uncommon. July 2nd, 26-year-old Sha'Asia Washington died during an emergency C-section. And July 27th, Yolanda Kadima, a doula and mom of 7, died giving birth to twins, also during an emergency C-section. Experts like Professor Deirdre Cooper Owens, who's written about how race and gender impacted American gynecology, say the struggles these women face throughout their pregnancies and childbirth all come down to racism.
You see that class and status tend to matter. The higher up you go, right, the kind of better protected you are. That doesn't exist for Black women because we're all experiencing racism in the same way. So when I walk into the office, nobody knows if I'm married or have a PhD or what my income is. The assumption is I might be lying, maybe I'm promiscuous, maybe I don't eat well. I should still be given fair treatment and equitable treatment by my doctor.
What's up, y'all? What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Always Talking with Audrey. In today's live video, we are going to be talking about something that is not only necessary as far as anyone coming into starting a family, but it's necessary to anyone that already has a family. I'm sorry about the long live intro, but I really wanted to give you guys just a clarification, a clear view of what we're going to be talking about tonight and why it's so important. So as you guys know that we are basically in the new baby boom sensation. If you guys did not know that, the baby boom sensation is basically a whole bunch of babies are about to be born. It's kind of like how our parents were the baby boomers. And they basically set the tone for the future generations. That is what we're entering in with this great panorama that's going on. And I thought it was absolutely necessary that we talk about saving our future and securing our future generations to come, because although we are in a baby booming sensation, our issues are still very prominent and they're still very real. When it comes to the Black women, the Black mothers, our mortality rate is 3 to 6 times greater than our counterparts. So that's all races included. We go in and our cries are often ignored. We are not taken seriously. And it's basically, it's to the point where we're kind of scared to even give birth and trust in these people that we are putting our lives and our children's lives in their hands. And I just want to give a disclaimer. I'm not coming on here to make a video to tell you guys not to trust your medical professionals, because that is a common myth that goes hand in hand when we talk about how Black women are mistreated in the healthcare system. They always make it seem as if we are telling people not to go to the doctors. Go to the doctors, trust in your doctors, but we want to teach you guys ways to advocate for yourselves and also teach your families how to advocate for you if for any reason you don't know how or you're unable to. So that's the purpose of this live. Now, I actually have a very great friend of mine. You guys, I actually know this person personally. I'm talking about, we got it out the mud, you know, like for real, out of high school. So I've known her almost 20 years now. Her name is Erin, and she is actually a doula. And just to see how she is not only my friend, but to see her make such an impact in my neighborhoods, I was like, oh yeah, I gotta have her on my show. I need to talk about this. This is something that is gonna change the game. So without further ado, say hello to Erin. I think you muted yourself. Oh, hold on. There you go, Erin. Can you hear me?
Hey y'all, what it do, family?
Yes. So Erin, just to like break the ice a little bit, just tell us a little bit about yourself, just so you can, warm up to the crowd.
Okay, so my name is Erin, obviously. I am a birth doula, a full spectrum doula. I have 2 crazy demons, okay, that I love. You know that crazy. So
They not
I
demons though. She
assume
really be angels.
okay, so we're gonna go with what Audrey says. So, my angels, their name is Anastasia and Emberly. They keep me busy, and my actual births with them is a big chunk of why I became a doula. I'm sure we'll get into that, but yeah, that's me for now.
Yeah, so I guess jumping right into it, since you already did the gateway, what made
Mhm.
you actually, well, let's start here. How long have you actually been a doula, and what made you become a doula?
Um, so I've been a doula for 2.5 years. What made me become a doula, I honestly feel like it was a calling. You know, it came to me when I was a young child. I ignored it. I used to like stalk Baby. I think it was called Baby Story on TLC or something like that.
Yes,
I used to be
yes.
obsessed with my mom. She has 9 kids. There's 9 of us. And every time she was pregnant, I was just obsessed. But I don't know. Over the years, I kind of like fell off. And then it would just come into me in different ways and dreams. And when I was trying to think about what I wanted to do for our community, like how I could go about it, things like that. Um, yeah, that made me want to become a doula, but more specifically, I wanted to break and prevent generational curses. And I try to figure out ways that would be the most effective. Yes, we can catch it when the problem happens, and sometimes that's hard to handle. So I'm like, where does a lot of the problems be? Like, why is the family broken? Like, what do I need to do? And I was like, birth. Like, everything starts at birth. And a lot of people believe that trauma is like embedded in our DNA and our mothers carry it. So like, what can I do at birth to help with that? And I knew that we were dying at alarming rates. I knew that I was abused and smacked and everything in my birth, and I just didn't want for other women to feel that, but specifically Black women, because I knew Black women were being treated than other races. So I just wanted to be a solution to the community and everything like that.
So you just said something, and if you don't mind, I want to ask you about your birth story, because we're here to talk about, basically breaking generational curses, teaching each other how to advocate for ourselves. So how was your birth
Mhm.
story? You mentioned that you were smacked and mistreated during your labor. Was this during both of
Yeah.
your pregnancies, one of your pregnancies? Tell us about
It
it.
would be with my eldest. And I was just very obsessed, just like any other mom, about, their pregnancy. Like I don't know, I just spent a lot of time with my spiritual being in my womb. And I knew her, like I knew her schedule. I just knew when things was right and when things was wrong. And there was a time where it was late at night. It was probably like February 26th or 27th. And I noticed she wasn't moving. Like nothing I did, she wasn't moving. She wasn't doing any of that. I remember calling my nurse, and the nurse was just real snappy with me and said, "Oh, well, just drink some orange juice and lay on your left side." I'm like, "I already tried that, ma'am. These are the things I went over." She just ignored me, and she wasn't providing any type of comfort. And at the time, I didn't know if I could just like go in. So, laying there trying to figure out what's going on with my child, and she just wasn't moving. So my mom raced me to the ER, and I remember being in like triage, this little tiny room where they put you for a little bit, and nobody was personal. Everything was transactional. It was just cold. And I remember just like sitting there, just confused. And I'm looking over at my partner, and he doesn't know what to do. And he's just kind of like in his game system and, or his handheld game system. And it was just a lonely process. And eventually a doctor comes in and is like, "We're going to go ahead and induce you. You're already full term," things like that. So, can y'all still hear me?
You said what?
I said, can you still hear me?
Mm-hmm, we can hear you.
Okay. But yeah, like they just said, "Let's go ahead and induce you." They didn't have a reason. And at the time I didn't know, what that even meant. I just knew that she was going to be here. I was over being pregnant, and that's that. So, they start inducing me. They're just telling me what they're going to do. I remember thinking that they was telling me what they was going to do, telling me about all these medical procedures to get my baby here. I remember just being in pain because I had a lot of like back and butt labor. I don't know if you've ever had a butt cramp, Audrey, but listen, sis,
Yes.
it ain't it.
That's
Okay.
sciatica.
Listen, I was like something is wrong with my butt as I lay here, like, what's going on? And on top of that, I'm just feeling like pains everywhere. The nurses are kind of just like blatantly, like just staring at me. It was just a whole bunch of it was just weird. It was foreign. And I remember the pain got so bad and my blood pressure, I guess, started to go up. My mama, I remember her looking at me and she was concerned and she was looking back at the doctors, looking back at my partner at the time, like all that stuff. Like, it was just wow. I knew something was going on, but I didn't know what. Ultimately, a Black OB comes in after dealing with a whole bunch of white people. A Black OB comes in and was like, yeah, so you and your baby's heart rate is dropping. Mind you, I've already got the Pitocin, I've already got the epidural, I've already got all this stuff. And it was like, your baby's heart rate is dropping. And if we don't get the baby out now, you and the baby are going to die. Like, they were just doing a whole bunch of stuff. I don't remember actually breathing and having time to myself in the hospital room. But ultimately, because all that stuff was happening, I had to go into the OR, have a C-section. And because by this time I'm so drugged up with everything else that they've given me, I'm like in and out. I could not stay awake. And I remember there was a guide at my head just talking reckless to me, like, maybe you'll think next time about having kids. And I remember laying there and he kept smacking my face and he was just like, wake up, you got to stay up, you got to stay up. And I could not, y'all, like, I could not get up. Like, I could not stay up. My body was so heavily sedated. Kept getting smacked. And I just felt him getting harder and harder, and then I threw up from all the stuff that he was doing and I threw up on myself. It was just traumatic. I felt tugging. I felt so much stuff. And I remember when I finally got out of my surgery, I didn't even want to look at my daughter. I didn't want to look at my partner. I felt so confused. I knew I was in pain. Like, Audrey, it was just a very traumatic birth.
Yeah. I feel like I'm there with you. Like, I'm like, every time you're saying stuff, I'm like, this is your first child. And that makes anyone not want to have no more kids, period. Like, I don't want to do this. Something that's supposed to be beautiful, something that's supposed to be, we're scared. Like, we're always going to be scared when we have our children because we're giving birth, but it's supposed to be a beautiful scare. Like, it's supposed to be something that makes it worthwhile. But to go through abuse before you give birth, that is something that's really, really hard. And I know someone in the comments said that her PTSD was flaring up. And that is just, this is how important this talk is, because so many people have endured this. So many women have endured this in silence, because it's kind of like, oh, this is normal, like, oh yeah, don't ever have kids, girl. I had the worst experience, and it's never promoted to be a beautiful experience. And it's really unfortunate. So I know absolutely. Thank you so much for telling us your birth story, because I think that also puts things in perspective about how people should trust in you to make sure that you give them a better birth story. So I want you to let me know, what exactly is a doula? Because I know there's a lot of confusion when it comes to these people and doctors. We don't know what a doula, a midwife, a nurse, or a doctor does. So tell us what a doula is.
So a doula is a labor professional, okay? So we are specifically trained and experienced to offer pregnant people physical, emotional, what else? Educational support before, during, and after childbirth. So, we are able to support you at home, in a birth center, hospital, wherever your car, we just do not provide medical support. That's like work for your midwife or your OBGYN. We don't step outside of those scopes.
So what type of doula are you? Because I know that there's a few different types of doulas, or not types of doulas, but I believe different doulas do different things. So what exactly do you do? Like, what are you certified in?
So I am a full spectrum doula. So I handle the full spectrum of pregnancy to labor, and then oftentimes, death. So I handle all of it, If I was going to be a hand in the Black community, I wanted to make sure they had access to all of that. So I do everything.
So when you say the death part, is that meaning like you also help the mother's emotional or the family's emotional support if for any reason they were to lose their child? Is that what that is?
Yes. So I do assist with, women that, either they had an abortion, or they had, miscarried, so, or even babies that are stillborn, things like that. They need that support too. That's actually a support. You don't see pamphlets like that in the doctor's office. For instance, I work at the WIC clinic, and a woman came in and she said, I'm no longer pregnant anymore. And she was just shaking, and she clearly needed a hug. She clearly needed that support. Like, where do I go after this? They was like, oh, well, my condolences. All right, so let's make your next appointment with your doctor.
Wow.
Like, we're that desensitized. Like, that was her baby. We don't know what she's dreamt of. We don't know what names they came up with. We don't know how many tries this was for her to get to that child, And a lot of people, a lot of women feel like the rite of passage is to give birth. So imagine that being robbed from her. You know what I mean? So that was really tough, knowing that there's really no support out there for them. So death doulas definitely aid in those things. Oftentimes we're just not the punching bag, but we are receiving the cries, the outpours. We're being the community health workers in regards to finding resources. I've had to help plan a funeral for a baby. I've had to reach out to, places like to figure out, how I can get if they want to be cremated, like how to get their ashes, like little clothes for them. Like, I've had to do all that and provide sources for like therapy, like all of that. And we often forget about those people. It's just so, okay, she had an abortion. Even at work, like when you have abortions or if you miscarry, there is nothing for you.
I was just about to say that. I didn't even know that, and it's great that there is a service that doulas can offer to women who choose to do abortions for whatever reason. I feel like that is that's not talked about now. I've never heard that. I've heard about some different types of doulas, but the abortion doulas, I would definitely want to get more information on, just because so many people, or it's not so many people, so many women struggle with that after they make that decision. And it will be great for them to know that there's people that they can talk to.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So what are some myths that come with being a doula? I know that a lot of people, don't even know what a doula is, but then they believe that they are going to be able to write them prescriptions. They're going to be able to do that they won't need a doctor anymore. So what are some myths that go hand in hand with getting a doula, or that goes hand in hand with having a doula?
Okay. So you want me to describe the myths first, you said?
Yes, the myths.
Okay. All right. So one of the biggest myths would be we are not midwives. Okay. I don't know how many midwives posts I've been tagged on, and sis, we're not midwives. So the difference between a doula and a midwife is that, yes, I'm a labor professional, but I can't medically diagnose anything with you. I cannot do cervical checks on you. I can't even prescribe anything to you. I can always recommend something to you, but I cannot prescribe anything to you. So that is the biggest difference. Midwives and doulas actually go hand in hand. They're like partners in crime, Batman and Robin. Like, that's pretty much what midwives and doulas are to each other. So while they're tending to your medical needs, the doulas is tending to your physical, emotional, and spiritual needs, because they don't have time to pay attention to both. So we need all those to cohesively work together so we can have, a happy, safe, earthside experience. Yeah.
Yes. So with that, so when you say that doulas are not able to do cervical checks and anything like that, we get that, but what are doulas able to do? So imagine, or walk us through your you have a new client, or I come to you, I'm pregnant. What exactly would you say to me? What can you help me with?
So I can help you with breastfeeding topics. I can help you with like newborn care. I can help you with finding a provider, knowing how to provide, or how to find that provider, what questions to ask that provider if you need to interview that person, going over like your birth vision. Like, this is the whole plan. This is like football, like having a little playbook for birth. You know, I'm going down everything. I'm going down your mental history, not to be nosy, but just to see how I can help you. We go through, you know, any type of other mental issues. We go into nutrition, because nutrition, baby, listen, that is the foundation of everything pregnancy. A lot of women don't even realize that a lot of stuff, a lot of the deficiencies is solely linked to nutrition. So, you know, we go down the whole slew of things. We obviously break it up to make sure you understand. We're doing comfort measures with you. We're bouncing on the ball. You know, some doulas are like twerkers. They host class to like have them twerk the baby out, get yourself limber. We're that constant reminder. We're your Google. We're your birth Google. Don't go to Facebook and ask questions. Don't go to these support groups and have Facebook University tell you a whole bunch of false stuff. You know, we're literally your birthing pregnancy bestie, you know? So we provide everything pregnancy, fertility, reproductive related.
So with you being the doula, I learned this on TikTok, wink, wink. I learned it from you, but we're going to say TikTok. I hear all the time that, like, you know, doula talk or whatever it's called on TikTok. All these doulas is like, don't worry, I am a +1. So I'm not included when the doctors say that only 2 people can be in the room with you. So is it true that doulas are able to be in the room with the mother and the father and whoever else? They don't count as the person that's in there with them, that they are able to come in. Is that true, that they're able to come in the room with the expectant mommy and help her labor?
Maybe. I don't know where they've gotten that. And maybe that's just a step-by-step thing. But Missouri, baby, no, we are not seen as essential. I know that research, I believe, is trying to fight to see us as like essential, to where we wouldn't even be included into the visitors. But we've had moms literally have to pick between their partner and their doula. And I know some people are like, I'm picking my husband. But, you know, when it really comes down to it, you want to make sure that that person that's in that room with you, because birth is not easy. Labor is not called labor for any reason. You need to make sure that person is going to be part of the war, the battle, because that's essentially what it is, unfortunately. The battle. They need to be educated. They need to be able to reaffirm you when you need to be reaffirmed, instead of just sitting there looking at you in agony and waiting for a baby to come and just to say, hey, I watched the baby be born. What kind of shit is that? You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, no, that's not true at all.
Yeah, and I was like, I didn't know that. You know, wink, wink. But so what would you do? And I know that doulas are a great support, not just for the mothers, but for the fathers as well. So speaking hypothetically, say I am an expectant mommy. I can only have one person in the room. Of course, I'm going to choose my baby daddy. So what would you do to prepare us for this day? Essentially, what would you help my partner with to help me get through this day? And this doesn't necessarily just have to be my partner. This could be my mother. This could be my sister. What tools would you give them to help me during the day that I go into labor?
Education, links, all that. That's all I do, really. That's what our prenatals like consist of. We're going over different topics, what things to expect. Honestly, when it comes to the partner and the family, a lot of those people kind of sit those prenatal visits out, and it's vital information. They kind of get to the birthing room and be so confused. So, you know, while I'm a doula and everything, I hold all my clients accountable. Like, if y'all want this, if you really want to get as close as possible to your birth vision, everybody needs to research. Everybody needs to ask questions. They need to educate themselves so they can become more empowered. I am one person, and technically I'm not supposed to sit there and talk for you in the room. I'm supposed to teach you enough information for you to advocate for yourself. So, I would just do what I said in the prenatals, just educate, provide resources, answer any questions, provide videos, whatever the case may be. Sometimes I'll even turn it into a game to see how much they've learned, you know? So it would be those prenatals.
Okay. And that is very informative, because a lot of people don't know that just because you may not be able to have that voice, it's important that you have someone in that room with you that can definitely advocate for you or see those red flags. So how much does race play into being a doula? I know that we're talking about the importance of Black women today, but how much does that really play in your everyday role as a doula with you? Do you have a lot of Black women as, I was about to say customers, oh God, as patients, clients? Yeah, clients. So do you have a lot of Black women? And what are some of the
Heck yeah, that's all I serve.
That's all you serve. So I was going to ask you for your stats. So with you having basically a black clientele, how much problems do you occur, or how much do you see with our Black community when it comes to giving birth? Like, what are the things that you have seen in the delivery room that you have had to teach your client beforehand or step in and help with during that situation?
Oh man. Geez, it's an array of topics. And I feel like I kind of just add more and more topics from each birth, because each birth be a little crazy, So one of the things would be inductions. That is the hottest thing right now in the maternal world, inductions. Inductions should only, honestly, in my opinion, should be a medically indicated type of situation, I feel. And reason being is that a lot of times our body is not ready, to go into labor, which is why a lot of times our inductions fail and then we're being put underneath the knife. You know what I mean? So we're trying to force the hand on nature, and it's backfiring like no other. So I prepare women about induction. I prepare women of knowing who their providers are, knowing the cesarean rate at a hospital, or just different type of rates, like really educating themselves. I don't know what just happened. What else? Yeah, I can hear you now. You had kind of went out. What else? I just teach them everything, like even down to like partners. Like there are partners, like I said earlier, there are partners that really are not supportive at all. And that makes me so frustrated because yes, I'm the doula. I'm one person, and a lot of times that I'm looking at the client, and I'm talking life into her and everything like that. And in that moment, really all she really wants to hear and like just to hear their partner say something to them, to looking over to them, to let them know like, hey, I understand what you're going through. Like, you got this. These niggas be on TV screens. They bring a whole monitor into the room, playing some like 2K. That is upsetting. Like, the birthing space is a sacred space. You feel me? Like, it's so sacred. So you have people that are kind of like messing up the woman's like focus. Like, when a woman's giving birth, when she's going through a labor process, she's in a meditative state. You mean to tell me I'm hearing some whistles blowing? I'm hearing these little sneakers squeak on the floor, and you're not paying attention to me? You know what I'm saying? So I talk about that. I talk about, pretty much choosing or making sure they choose their support people wisely. Like, even the mamas. I teach a lot of my clients, if you have a mama that's not supportive, I'm sorry. Mama gonna have to step up out that room, because she's not gonna break your focus. She's not gonna break everything that you've done. I've had mamas be in that room and literally tell one of my clients that was going natural and vaginally, I had a C-section. You gonna have a C-section too? Watch this. You ain't gonna make it. You're gonna have an epidural. You're gonna have an epidural on the phone. Yeah, sis is only dilated to 4 centimeters. Yeah, they checked her an hour ago. Yep, she got like, hellas to go. And it's kind of like,
we have normalized the mistreatment so bad. We have normalized it. Like, yeah, girl, you're gonna get a C-section. That's not normal. So I'm happy that you brought that up. So with you being a doula for 2.5 years, how many successful vaginal natural births have you been able to do with helping mothers get their wish? Because everybody dreams of having this natural labor, but people like their moms or people like the doctors psych them out. So how many have you been able to successfully do out of all your labors?
Honestly, sis, I know I've serviced over 100 plus families. I can tell you that I've only had period. I've only had 2 C-sections out of those amount of people. You know what I'm saying? And one of which No, two of which actually. No, one of which I wasn't there because they had changed the visiting policy last minute, like a day before she went into labor. So, and there could only be one visiting person. So I couldn't even be there with her. Like I was trying to be there with her virtually, but as a doula, when you build this connection with your clients, you know, you love on your client, they know you, they're used to your physical touch, all that stuff. I couldn't be there. She couldn't feel me. You know what I mean? She couldn't feel my energy, you know, birth and just being a human being. Like, you know, you're having a spiritual experience, you know what I'm saying? So I couldn't be there in spirit, and it was really messing with her mental. Like it's almost like she shut down because I wasn't there. So other things to creep in, you know, she ended up having a C-section, and the other one, it was just because I felt like the mom didn't prepare herself like she needed to, you know, leading up to her birth. Yes, I was doing my part, but I felt like it was kind of, she kind of left it at our prenatals, and that was it, you know. So
and I love that
just based off of the events that played out. Yeah.
I love that you said that, because a lot of people think that they don't understand. And a lot of this is moms that are first time, 20th time. I even know I was under the impression that when I give birth, this person, my doctor, is going to tell me everything that I need to do. They're going to tell me when it's time to push. They're going to tell me what I can eat. They're going to tell me how to get to the hospital. Like I just assumed that these people were going to do everything for me. Essentially, I did not realize how much I had to do for myself and for the life of my child. And that is what I really want to talk about. Like, as a mom, because the moment you get pregnant, you are a mother, whether you bring life into this world or for whatever reason you choose not to, you are, in my opinion, still considered a mother. So there are things that we have to do too. We have to do our part. We cannot switch this mistreatment that we're getting in the hospital unless we get educated, unless we try to eat better, unless we take our future in our own hands, essentially. So with your expertise, what would you say in a prenatal visit for a mom that is not willing to change her diet, or a mom that doesn't really necessarily care to get medicine? Like she's fine with getting induced, she's fine with getting a C-section. Do you step in, or do you just allow her to make her decisions, you know, for herself?
Yeah, so I really kind of do it based off of the energy that I feel between that mom. You know, I'm an empath, Audrey. So I kind of base it off that. And I've had moms that are just kind of like cool with just doing whatever. And what I do first is come to them as a mother to mother type of situation and everything like that. And then I bring in my professional outlook on things. I provide the evidence-based information in a fun way too, because nobody likes just looking at links and words, you know?
Right.
So I do it in a fun way and all that. And you know, depending on the response, I've had moms like, well, yeah, but that stuff is just, you know, I ain't worried about that. And it's kind of like, sis, like, all right, like I've learned rather quickly, because I've had a superhero type of complex for the longest. I learned rather quickly. You have to, by supporting somebody, loving on somebody, sometimes that looks like just meeting people where they are. Absolutely. And I've had to do that. And it's just like, all right, I did my part. I'm going to continue to support you because that's what you hired me to do. This is my passion. So I'm going to have to leave my biases like where they are and just kind of just go with it. You know what I mean? Because the way they may view births, like for instance, doulas, we don't tell any of our clients what their birth was like. We let them tell us what their birth is like, even though we didn't spotted some things, you know, all that stuff. And we know what went wrong. We're not going to tell them that, because if that's how they viewed their birth, we want them to stick to that memory, unless there was some unpacking. They were able to pay attention to the story or whatever. But other than that, if they don't ask, I'm not saying anything. So, yeah.
No. So the final question that I have for you, and guys, I did just drop the call-in link. If you guys have any questions for Erin, or just, you know, just wanting to tell your birth story and get that off your chest, this is a safe space. But my final question is, how would one go about getting a doula? Is this something that they offer in the hospital? Like, how do I get a doula, girl? How?
No, they will never ever offer this in the hospital. You know, because of what we're doing to the hospital stats, they will never do that themselves. So ways that you can get one is First and foremost, I got a rep for Uzazi Village, a nonprofit. We service all people, but we are a Black space made for Black people. You can go through that way.
Is Uzazi nationwide?
It is not yet. Okay. See us out here in the future. Okay. But we're not yet. We have trainings everywhere. But we're not an organization. But anyways, you can go through Uzazi. You can get free or reduced doula services, especially if you have Medicaid. So that's an option. A lot of times it's just really typing in doula into Kansas City doula. And just looking for a doula that way and just calling around. I will say, yes, doulas are amazing. We make some shifts in the maternal world, but please interview your doula. Not all doulas should be doulas. Let me just say that. So make sure you interview them. You interview your doctors. You interview your OBGYNs. So, yeah.
Oh, so you can interview your OBGYNs?
Oh, you can interview your midwife. You can highly recommend that you interview your OBGYN because based off of their responses or questions or concerns, based off they respond to those questions that you have, can tell you the personality of that person. Sometimes these OBs will be like wolves in sheep clothing. They're nice to you through prenatal. Oh yeah, I got you. I hear your concerns. As soon as they step foot up in the labor room, honey, they don't rip they little costume off and they are coming at you. So it's important. Just like y'all pick y'all hairstylist, just like y'all pick y'all tattoo artist, where y'all go to eat, whatever the case may be. Make sure y'all do y'all research.
Yeah, the way y'all picky about y'all hairstylists and y'all nail techs, go ahead and be picky about y'all OBGYNs because that is no joke. That is no joke. That is so true. Your OBGYN can really determine your birth for real, because
Rob
even
that
if
vision
you're
right
on
out of you.
Yes, whether you're on your first child or your fourth child, whoever you have overseeing your medical experience, they can really make it an experience or make it a tragedy, depending on who they are. So I never knew that you could interview your OBGYN. That is really crazy.
You can interview, you can fire your staff, you have so much power.
Wow. So someone else said, do you travel, Erin?
I do travel. That's not going to be something until maybe next year because right now I'm doing like mainly community health work or community doula health work. So, I do travel in a nutshell.
That is really crazy. I'm blown away that they even offer Medicaid because I know a lot of the people that's viewing don't necessarily live in Kansas City like we do. So do they do you know if like other states also take it with Medicaid? Offer doulas with Medicaid?
And if you find
oh no, I didn't have nothing else to say.
If you do find a doula co-op or a sister co-op or a nonprofit doula organization, 9 times out of 10 they do accept Medicaid. And the reason for that being is that a lot of Black women are on what type of insurance? Medicaid. Exactly. You know what I mean? And Medicaid doesn't really offer anything really. Yes, you have a lot of things that is free, but a lot of the things that we need, it doesn't really cover it. So we wanted to still, obviously what we do is valuable. We still got to make our living too, but they created something to where, okay, we're going to get these grants for Medicaid or Medicaid people based off research, and we're just going to make it do what it do. And we wanted to make sure that we were able to reach the people that's being affected the most, which is Black women.
Absolutely. So have you ever seen someone get mistreated like one of your patients get mistreated in the hospital setting?
Absolutely. All the time. Almost every birth.
And what does it look like? Like, because I know the clips that I shown was kind of like, how do you know that you're getting mistreated? Because a lot of people don't know what's wrong until it's already too late, if that makes sense. So what does it look like? Like, is it the doctor just ignoring them? Is it them, not knowing what they like and dislike until after the fact, and then they come to you and say that they weren't comfortable? Like, what does it look like? Them being mistreated.
It's a combination of those things, but I honestly feel like the biggest one whether they've hired me yet or not, is the fact that they're not being listened to. That nothing's worse than not being listened to. You know what I mean? So that will be the first thing. And then, of course, when they hire me, I am a doula that goes over legalities and your human rights, you know, things like that. And after I told them with the common things that they experience, I either had them saying, oh, dang, that's happened to me multiple times, just knowing or teaching them the things that they should not accept, things that are actually violent or abusive. They're able to go off of that. So it's just a combination. I've had some moms was just like, am I tripping? Is that doctor kind of rude? Is that nurse kind of rude? Like, you know, they're not listening. They're not listening, you know, just things like that. So it comes in the form of so many things, or even like a woman, doctors just shoving their fingers up their cervix, you know, like a thing that a lot of women do before they get their cervix checked is they may have a contraction or two. And everybody in the room needs to stop doing what they're doing when a woman has a contraction. Don't talk to her, don't touch her, don't do none of that, you know? And these doctors aren't respecting that. And the woman tells them to stop, like, hold on, like, wait till my contraction goes. These doctors are still sticking their fingers up moms while they're in the middle of a contraction, going against what is being said. Or, you know, it's just a whole bunch of stuff. I see so much stuff. It's really sad. And like, I have to literally sage myself after a lot of my births.
That is sick. That is damn, you know, like, you know what I'm about to say, SA, that is assault. Like, I could not imagine you touch me. When I say do not touch me, do not touch me. Like, you know, it's really sad. Someone in the comments, CC said, I know you mentioned WIC office. Do most WIC offices offer services like this? So do the WIC offices offer doulas? Because I know you work for WIC, but I don't think you work for WIC as a doula. Okay. You are a counselor.
No. Yeah, I work as a lactation consultant. Yeah.
CC also said, do mothers tend to not tell you everything that they are feeling or going through?
I feel like I make a positive space for a lot of my moms to voice their concerns. I make it more comfortable. Y'all clearly heard me cursing earlier. I curse, you know what I mean? I'm realistic, you know, I just make that rapport with them. Yeah. Like, I make a good rapport with my people, you know, and I think that's really important. So they've told me a lot. I've seen a lot. I know a lot of people's business, and if they haven't told me, I mean, I'm sure they haven't told me a lot, but they tend to come to me about everything.
Mm-hmm. And so with the way that people or women are feeling, do they come to you after you after they give birth? Are they able to reach out to you or any doula of theirs and tell them if they have any baby blues thoughts or postpartum thoughts? Are they able to reach out to you guys as well after labor?
Absolutely. So, you know, that's a great question, Audrey. Like, when people have babies, it's important for you to stay in contact with your doula. You know, we don't just disappear unless they don't specialize in postpartum support. You know, if they're just like a birth doula, then that's different. Make sure you are proactive and you hire a postpartum doula. But, you know, they can be able to reach out to us. We prefer that. We need to know what's going on, because at this rate, you know, all the medical stuff that was in your face, all the attention you got, it's not there anymore. You're confused. You're faced with this new identity as a mother, but who am I now? Like, what body is this? Like, you're just going through so much stuff. You're not eating properly. Women are not supposed to move around. Babies is actually supposed to be brought to the mom within the first 40 weeks. She's not supposed to move about that bed. You know what I'm saying? Like, she was carrying life for damn near 10 months. And she had a baby and she just goes back to normal, you know? No, it's critical. You know, she could die up to a year after having a baby from any complication. So let's lessen that. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Okay. So we have Wee Girly calling in. Hey, Wee Girly.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. How are you today?
Hi. How are you all? First of all, I just want to say, I finally caught your show. I tried to call in before and it just didn't work. So thank God it finally worked. So how you all? So I do have one question. So this is coming from personal experience. I suffer from like a condition So my main question is, do some doula services, do they offer like preconception services? Because my main concern is not necessarily the actual like prenatal, like the actual gestation part. It's actually like before you actually have your baby, because the problem is that I have PCOS. And when I go to my doctor, they kind of just don't listen to me at all. Like they do, but it's kind of like they basically wrapped it off as like you may never have children. So I kind of like, my main question is, do you like basically help with women before they like trying to get pregnant? That would be my first question.
Absolutely. So, hey girl, thank you for sharing this with us today. So there are fertility doulas. Yes. There are doulas that specifically go over like your health, go over different herbs if that is something that you choose to do. And they just break down a lot of different things that you can do to, make your outcome a lot easier and better. So yes, there are fertility doulas.
Okay. So my next question is that, like, how do you deal with women that actually went through, I'm sorry if I sound nervous or if I sound a little anxious.
No, you're fine.
I don't like talking about this. This is my first time really being open about this, because
this is a safe
a lot of
space.
people in my family, they're very not insensitive, but they kind of don't understand. Well, I'm gonna be real. I suffer from like PCOS, which if you know what that means you probably know what that means. Like,
yes,
basically, like I have cysts on my ovaries, so it's like whenever, like when I try to ovulate, you can't even ovulate to like naturally. So when I went to my OB, I just found out this not long ago, but like a couple of months ago. But she was basically like, yeah, it might be a hard time for you to conceive. And even if you do try, like I've been pregnant before and it was a miscarriage. So it's like, it's very like, I've been told to get like a doula now, because like we already know how these health services work. A lot of them, they don't even care. They don't even care about regular people. Like they just want to nickel and dime you. They just want to they want to put you on drugs. So my main question is like, is there like a grieving process? I don't, because I didn't have that at all. It was just kind of like, oh, well, like, oh yeah, well, we had this life, but it's not there anymore. So it's like, it was like, wow, like it wasn't really supportive at all. I'm sorry if I feel shaky.
No, you are not. You don't need to be sorry. This is what we had this live for.
Apologize, man.
Yeah, we're here to talk about this because you don't have anyone else to talk to. So you don't have to be sorry for sharing your feelings. It's someone that's listening to this live that probably has the same sentiments as you, and they just needed to be brave enough. So we appreciate you calling in.
Okay. Well,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Like, well, I'm not sorry, but it's like,
quit apologizing. Wait, hold
like,
up, sis. Hold up, sis. Quit
sorry. I'm just.
What did you do wrong? Like, what did you do wrong? Let me know.
I didn't do any. It's just very.
Exactly.
I don't like telling my like. I'm very like. I'm not closed off, but I don't like talking about my symptoms to a whole lot of people, especially people. It's very like, it was like freeing at the same time. And in my brain, I was like, okay, I might as well like speak out about it, because try to speak out to the doctors. They're basically saying, they basically say lose weight, and basically change your diet. But it's like, I do that. And it's very, like, I've been dealing with this for about 5 years. I just now got an answer about recently, but it's like, well, we might have to put you on like metformin. We might have to put you on Provera, which is basically like a drug that basically induces your cycle. But then a lot of those lead to like blood clots and stuff. Talked to my mom about it, and she basically was like, well, that's not my problem. I don't know what's going on with you. So it's kind of like when you said that about like sometimes your mom may be a little, like, you might have mothers, like not mothers, but like their mothers may be a little insensitive, and they might, affect the baby. I felt that, because it's like, it's just been a tough process. It's just really just been me and like my partner currently, but it's like, but
Yeah.
I appreciate y'all for letting me calling in. I know it was like a QA, but I'm glad we had this discussion, and thank you for answering my question. Well, you guys have a good night. I appreciate
Is that
it.
all that you needed, we girly? We don't want you to feel like you rushed off. Like if you had any, I'm gonna have some links below for like
Okay.
websites that you can visit if you need to find a doula. I'm gonna have that in the description box once the live ends. So hopefully you can find something useful for you there as well.
Okay. Well, I really appreciate it because it's been a struggle. Like I've been dealing with this for about, I don't want to go too into deep because it's like ever since I was like a teenager, I always felt like something was wrong. And then it kind of hits me because when I see the rates, when I see all over social media, Black women are dying 3 or 4 times more than regular women, it like hits me because it's like, okay, these are women that are like technically, I wouldn't say normal, like they're healthy women. They may have deal with a lot of stressors, but it's like they're not being listened to. Like what I go through a lot, it's still like there's still people still finding out about it, and it's really like, and it's kind of they write it off as, oh well, you know, you just lose weight, or oh well, like it's just ugh. And it's been a struggle every day.
I would say to definitely hire a doula. Look into like getting a
Definitely.
fertility doula, simply because they're able to provide you with evidence-based information and give you other resources. They're able to just, a lot of doulas lean on the holistic side. So you may find some things that may help you a little bit better, because we all know that a lot of Western medicine, it has its purpose, you know, don't get me wrong. But a lot of Western medicine, they are more treat the symptom but not get to the root problem. So it's just a whole cycle of just BS, no solutions, frustrations, and things like that. Let's just get to the root problem.
Right. Like that's what happened to me a couple of years ago. Like I was having, you know, I was having issues with menstruation, and the first thing they'll say, get on birth control, get on this combined pill that adds like all these synthetic hormones. And while it worked, but in the long term, it didn't really solve the problem. And so, but when you go to them, we ask them about doctors, it's like, it's very like heart-wrenching because it's like, you know, it's bad enough that I have like medical professionals not listening. Then I have some people in my family. Now I have some people in my family that look at me like, oh, well, you know, you've been dating for this amount of time. Why you don't have a child yet? But it's like, you don't understand. But I really appreciate y'all like allow me to speak. I don't talk about that often with people because they just don't understand. And I'm really glad that both you ladies gave me a way to me to be vocal, and I really appreciate that. I'm about to head off now because I'm at work currently. Well, I work from home, but I'm glad I caught this live. I appreciate both of y'all. Y'all have a good night.
You too.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much.
Peace, queen.
No problem.
It was someone waiting backstage. If you want to, you can call back in. The lines are still open. I believe your name was Chaotic. If you're still listening, you can call back in. We have another question for you, Aaron. It's from Blorgard. They said, how rare is a male doula, and are there stigmas about them that you know of?
It's very rare. Very, very rare. I actually trained with a male doula,
I remember at your graduation.
A man that came to be a doula. Yes. And he's the first male doula that I know of in Kansas City. So as far as stigmas go, I wouldn't really necessarily say, or maybe there is a little bit, but like, for instance, like, well, you know, what can a man do for me? Like, I don't feel comfortable with a man, but really the idea of a male doula is more so to take on the masculine side of things. Like, we often forget about the man or the partner in this entire process. We're not focused. Like, if you ever go to be a fly on the wall at like a doctor's office, they're paying attention to the woman. They're not even like including the partner in with eye contact or anything like that. Oftentimes when a woman's going through postpartum, you know, depression, dads go through postpartum depression as well. They go through everything. The only difference is that they didn't really physically give birth to a baby, and they're often forgotten about. So the, male doula, or the brother doula that we call it, they come in and kind of fill up that portion. They're able to speak from a different perspective. We always hear from the woman's perspective, and it's a whole dynamic. So male doulas are awesome. They are so necessary.
Oh, that is really good to know, because I remember seeing him at your graduation. I was like, what the heck is he going to do? Like, the stigma, what he going to do? But that makes sense. The lines are still open. We've been on here for an hour, so we're going to be wrapping it up. If you guys have any more questions, please hit the link to call in or type your questions out. We don't want to miss anyone before we get off. So this has been a great live. I've really enjoyed it. I like doing stuff like this. Always going to use my platform to at least help another person. I don't want to use my platform just to, talk about current news and miss out on my people. So I love to do stuff like this. Brittany said,
I'm so proud of you, girl.
Thank you. Brittany said, I definitely trust men in that industry. My fave gyno was a man, and the lady that tried to do my epidural messed up 3 times. A man came in and it went so smooth with 0 pain. Wow.
Awesome. I wish more gynos were like that were males.
Yeah, gentle and soft. I won't even lie to you. I ain't never had a man doctor. I don't want one. I've always been closed-minded to that type of thing. But yeah,
I don't think I'll ever get a male doctor, simply because, no shade to men at all. I just feel like there are some men that kind of just speak for what we go through. Like, you don't have a uterus, sir. Like, how can I tell you? How can I explain my booty cramps to you with you understanding what that feels like? Every woman has felt that booty cramp, like that period cramp. So they can relate, and I just feel like they're just so like insensitive with certain things, that they just don't know certain things. And usually, unless a man is very compassionate and spiritual, because birth is spiritual, a lot of the doctors are just textbook. I'm not like every other woman. Don't treat me like every other woman. So I will kind of bank on the woman first before I'll go to a man.
Anisha is sharing her testimony in the chat. She said she had a stroke after her first pregnancy. Her second pregnancy, she gave birth premature. And then her third pregnancy, she was hospitalized 3 times after delivery. And I remember you speaking earlier, Anisha, that you was getting PTSD from listening to this conversation. So hopefully you was able to learn something from this live or feel better. If you want to call in, the line is open. But do you have any advice to offer her, Erin? Or anyone
honestly, honestly, this kind of, I don't know the entire situation. Usually I try to like break down like what took place, just so we can get the full picture. But it sounds like a lot of times that she was experiencing those things, unless there was like a health condition she had, it just seemed like there's just often neglect, abuse that led to one thing after another. So again, it scales back to finding the right provider, figuring out what your vision plan is for your birth. Do you want to birth at home? Do you want to birth in a freestanding birth center? You want to give birth in a hospital? Does it align with what you believe in? Like, it's so important to how things are done. Getting educated, hiring a doula, hashtag hire a doula. Listen, don't sleep on us. Like, if you have a doula.
You said what? I think this is Nisha calling in now. Hey, Nisha.
Hi, girl. Hi, Queen.
Hey, y'all.
Oh, look at the little baby. How old is the baby?
3 months.
Aww.
This is my last one that I
healthy.
had. Excuse my hair. I just took it down.
I love your hair. It's beautiful. But your baby, I'm looking at that arm. Look at that drumstick. That fat little
juicy.
Oh my God. Girl, don't give me that
beautiful. For real though, I'm like, do I want my ex cramps? I don't know.
I'm here like
But yes, with listening to Erin and all of this, I was like, oh my God, I feel triggered. Cause like I know it for a fact. Like all of my pregnancies have been pretty chill, but I have problems after I delivered. Like, I went, I think I had a stroke after my first pregnancy. I carried full term. I had a stroke with her, and I was like in rehab for like a month without my baby. And then with my second pregnancy, I had her at 23 weeks. And so she was in the NICU for, I think, 144 days or something like that. But she's here too. And then with this one, I had this one during the panorama. And like I had to see a doctor every 2 weeks, but the doctor I had this time, she was on it. She was like, we're going to see you every 2 weeks. We're checking blood pressures. And after I delivered, she checked me like every day. And she caught me going post-eclamptic. And I was admitted to the hospital. And they had to admit me like 2 or 3 times just because my blood pressure would go down and then shoot right back up. And so I'm like, when she talked about trauma, I was like, yeah, I feel that.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm sorry you've had to endure that. And you're just so blessed to have a doctor that, you know, does that. 'Cause a lot of doctors will not, you know, see you just 6 weeks, you know, that's it. You know what I mean? So that is beautiful and such a blessing. So kudos out to her. That's amazing. I'm glad you're here with us.
How are you looking at him?
Hi, cutie. He's so cute. Oh my God. So this is your only boy?
This is my only boy. 2 girls and a boy.
Oh, okay. Rub that on me. Give me some. Ooh, yes. I got 2 girls and I need a boy. Yeah. Okay.
You can have all that baby dust, okay? Oh.
That is so cute. Ooh.
I just wanted to say, you know, just it's real. It's real, and get support wherever you can. And the whole interviewing doctors, do it. Do it. And if they don't feel right to you, fire them and get someone who does. It doesn't matter how far along you are. You can be right back to deliver. If that doctor isn't doing it for you, fire them and find someone who does, because no one is going to advocate for you like you would advocate for yourself.
Absolutely.
Bye, baby.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye, baby.
Bye.
Okay, y'all. Well, we've been on here for 1 hour and 10 minutes roughly. I'm going to close out with this comment from Brown Boss. She said, I had a friend with PCOS that tried for 5 years. The doc told her she needed help to conceive. After my friend stopped stressing and got a new man, she conceived right away naturally. Don't give up. And Ashe, I believe in that. I'm sprinkling baby dust to everybody who wants that baby dust. Get it. Dust. But thank you guys so much for rocking with us this live. Like I said, I'm going to get some information and some support links and post it down in the description box. So if you replay gang, look to the description box in a few hours and some more information will be there. Thank you so much, Erin, for calling into my live and doing this interview with me. I appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Okay, y'all. So I'm about to close it out. I do have a outro for you guys. So go ahead and watch it, and I will see y'all in the next video.
And thank you. Oh yeah, thank you, Ms. Marcel. Yo, all props to you. And just you keep doing what you're doing. And you got a voice. Keep doing what you're doing. And you got a voice.